Hello YouTubers, I'm Paris and this is our 15th video in Python 3 programming language and our first video in object-oriented programming concepts in Python. So in this video, in the first we are going to introduce some concepts like what are classes, what are objects, and after that I will open my PyCharm ID and I will show you the practical example of creating classes and objects in Python. So first of all, Python is an object-oriented programming language. What it means that we can solve a problem in Python language by creating objects in our programs. In this video, particularly in this video and in our first object-oriented video, we are going to discuss some OOPS concepts such as what are classes, what are objects, and also I'm going to show you that how you can create your first class in Python. Now there are some more principles on object-oriented programming such as inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation. So we will not cover these topics in this video. In this video, just we are going to cover how you can create class and how you can create objects. So first of all, what are objects? There are two definitions for the object. The first one is objects in real world. So objects in real world are some things that we can sense, feel, and manipulate. So you can look around you now and we can see many examples of real world objects. For example, your dog, your cat, or a human being. These real world objects share two characteristics. So the first one, that they all have attributes, and the second one is that they all have behaviors. For example, if we suppose a dog dogs have attributes like name, color, bread, hungry, and also dogs have behaviors like barking, fetching, and also slobbering. So if we for example, if we pretend a person, for the attributes we can tell that a person have a name, color, skin color, and like this. Also for the behavior we can tell that a person can walk, can talk, or can eat. Now this was in real world, but in software development the definition of an object is not so very different. In software development, objects are not typically some things that we can pick up, sense, or feel, but they are models of something that can do certain things and have certain things done to them. Formally, an object, we can tell that in software development an object is a collection of data and associated behaviors. Now what's class? A class is a blueprint for the objects. Also a class is a way of organizing information about a type of data. So a programmer can reuse elements when making multiple instances of that data type. For example, if you are a programmer and you have a class, for example a class car, and you want to create 3 instances of the car. Maybe you want to create a BMW, a Ferrari, or a Ford. Now for every instance you will have different attributes. For example, maybe there are different models and maybe there are different colors. So this was a simple introduction to class and objects. Now we are going to open our PyCharm ID and I'm going to show you the practical example of creating classes and objects in Python. Okay guys, now this is my PyCharm ID and I'm going to create a new Python file. Right click my Python and I call it my class. So for creating classes in Python, it's so simple. You can just write a class and after that you write your class name. So my class name, for example, I want to give it my class, and you can now after this, in here you can write your instruction, but for right now I'm going to just write pass because I don't want to create something right now. So now we have created our first class, and now we want to create the object of this class. So creating object is so simple. So let me create the first object. I call it class 1 and my class. So this is my first object, and let me create another object, class 2, and I call it my class. So now if I print these two objects, print class 1, and also let me print class 2. Okay, now we have created objects of two classes and we have printed. Let me run it. So now you can see we have received two objects of our class. So this is the first object of my class that is located in this memory location address, and this is my second object that is located in this memory location. So you can see that the memory address locations are different. So this was our first simple class, but now we have a basic class, but it's useless because it doesn't contain any data and it doesn't do anything. What do we have to do to assign some attributes to a given object? So let me show you that how you can assign attributes for this. In here, let me remove this, and I want to create a new class. I'm going to create a class employee. So this class employee, right now I'm going to just pass this. I want to let me create some objects. So emp1 employee. So let me create another object and employee. Okay, now this is our two objects. I want to assign some attributes to this object. For example, emp1 dot first name. So I want to give it, for example, my name, and emp1 dot email. I want to give it an email, or you can give it pr@gmail.com, and also you can give emp1 dot salary. So salary. For this I can give it like this. Okay, now this is our first object. Let me copy this and assign these attributes for my second object. So like this, and I am going to change this to John and change the email to john@gmail.com, and also change the salary. Okay, we have a now you can print this. Let me print. You can simply print, and let me print first name. So first name, and you can give it emp1 dot first name, and let me bring it in here. Okay, now let me just print the salary of object 2. So salary, and you can em2 dot salary. So also convert this salary to string because it is integer. Let me convert this, and now okay, now I'm going to print this. Okay, now you can see that for the first name I have this first name. This is from my first object, and the salary is from my second object. So now we have successfully assigned some attributes to our objects. After this, these are some attributes. Giving attributes is a good idea, but in object-oriented programming, object-oriented programming is really about the interaction between objects. So we are interested in invoking actions and behaviors that cause something to happen to those attributes. So in this video, in this section, I'm going to show you how you can create some behaviors or methods to our classes. Now I'm going to remove all and let me create a new class. So I call it class employee, and now I'm going to create a div full name. So now this is when we are going to create a method in our class, we need to give self, because the self argument is simply a reference to the object of that method. That method is being invoked. So now let me self dot first name, and let me give it a name, and self dot last name, like this. And now this is our class. Let me create an object of this. So in P1, and I call it employee. This is my object, and emp dot full name, and let me print emp dot first name, and also emp1 dot last name. Okay, now let me run it. Okay, now you can see we have this name, my first name and also my last name. So now in this section I'm going to show you how you can add, for example, you want to add arguments in your methods. So now I'm going to show you how you can add this. So let me remove this class and let me create a new class, employee. You can give object in here, there is no problem. By default, when we are going to create a class, it inherits from object. So now let me create a method, so full name, and in here I want to give some arguments, so first name and also last name. Now in here I'm going to self dot last name, make it to the last name, and self dot first name and make it first name. Okay, now we need to print this, so print first name plus last name. Okay, now let me create object. So emp1, I want to create employee object, and now you can simply call your function or method, so dot full name, and in here you need to add your two arguments. So let me add a name, John Doe. Okay, now let me run it. Now you can see we have received John Doe. Let me create another object, so emp2 employee, and now I can emp2 dot full name. So let me write my name and let me run it. Now you can see I have received my name. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos please subscribe to my channel. Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez, and this is our 16th video in Python 3 programming basics, and our second video in Python object-oriented programming concepts. In the previous video we have learned about how you can create classes and objects in Python 3. In this video we are going to continue our object-oriented topics, and we are going to learn about Python initializer method. So in some other programming languages like C++ or Java, we have constructor, and this initializer method is the similar concept of constructor. So by using this initializer method, this method is called when an object is created from the class, and this method allows the class to initialize the attributes of the class. Now I'm going to open my PyCharm IDE, and I'm going to show you the practical example of creating initializer method in Python language. So now this is my PyCharm IDE, and this is from the previous video that we have created classes and objects. Now I'm going to create a new Python file, and I call it initializer method. So also you can call it constructor. Okay, now let me create a new class. So class car, now creating initializer method, you can give div and init. This is a reserved word in Python programming language. Now in here I can give, for example, model, also color, and also speed. Now after this you can simply write self.model is model, and self.color is color, and self.speed is speed. Okay, now we have created our class, and also we have created our initializer method. Let me create some more behaviors. So div start, and let me print self.model is started, and let me create another method, div stop, and print self.model is stopped, and let me create another method in here, div accelerate. So now we can print self.model is accelerating. Okay, now let me create some object for this class, and so let me create a Suzuki underscore car and car, and let me give for example Suzuki, and the color is red, and the speed is ET, for example. You can give it, and let me create another object, for example Ferrari car, and car, so Ferrari, and let me give the color, for example black, and also the speed to 40. Now we have created two objects. Now you can call these methods that you have created. So for Suzuki, let me Suzuki car dot start, and now if I run my this code, you can see that Suzuki is started. And if I write, for example, Ferrari car dot start, and now if I run it, you can see that Ferrari is started. And if I say for example Ferrari dot stop, and if I run this, you can see Ferrari is stopped. And also Suzuki car dot accelerate, and now if I run it, Suzuki is accelerating, and Ferrari dot accelerate, and I receive Ferrari is accelerating. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos please subscribe to my channel. Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez and this is our 17th video in Python 3 programming and our third video in Python object-oriented programming concepts. In the previous video we have talked about creating of initializer method in Python object-oriented programming. In this video we are going to talk about inheritance in Python object-oriented program. So inheritance is the most famous relationship in object-oriented programming. Inheritance is sort of like a family tree. For example, we can tell that my father inherited some characteristics from my grandfather and I inherited some characteristic from my father. In object-oriented programming, one class can inherit attributes and methods from another class. So in inheritance we have the concept of base class and drive class. So now let me show you. For example, in here I have two classes. I have class A and class B. Now in class A I have some attributes like name and age, and also I have a method of diffprint. Now in my class B, now this class B inherit from class A, and now when this class B inherit from class A, class B can access to all attributes and methods of class A. For example, class B can access to the name, class B can access to the age, and also class B can access to the print method. Now in here the class A is called base class, and also we can call it parent class, and for the class B we can call it derived class, and also we can call it child class. So now let me open my PyCharm ID and I'm going to show you the practical example of inheritance in Python. So guys, I have opened my PyCharm ID and this is my previous, this example is from my previous video that I have talked about creating initializer in Python. So you can watch the previous video. Now I'm going to create a new Python file and I'm going to call it inheritance. So whatever you can call, there's no problem. After this, let me create a new class. So let me create a class person, and now let me give the initializer. Now this class person will have a name attribute and also age. So let me initialize this self dot name name and self dot age. Okay. Also this class, there is a method for this class, print details. Now in here I can just print my name is I can give the self dot name my age is let me first bring it in here that you can see correctly. Okay, my age is self dot age. Also you should convert this to the string str. Okay, now this is our method, and we have a class person with some attributes of name and age. Also we have a method of print details. Now I'm going to create another class. So let me create another class. I call it student. Now this class student inherit from class person, and in this class student I don't want to add anything, but if you want you can add the specific attributes or methods of this class. So I'm going to just give it pass. Now we have inherited class student from class person. Now this class student can access to all attributes and methods of our base class. This class student can access to the name, to the age, and also to the print details. Now let me prove this. I'm going to create a student object and student, and in here I can give it, you can see that in here I have if you check, I have the name and age I should give. So for the name I'm going to give it Parvez, and for the age I want to give it, for example, 25. Okay, now st1 dot print details. Now you can see we don't have print details or name or age in our student, but because it inherited from the person class, now this class can access to all methods and behaviors of our base class. Now I'm going to run this. Now you can see I have received that my name is Parvez and my age is 25. Now let me create another object of st2 and let me student John, and let me give it John Doe. So sorry, now let me give it the age to 30. Now is 2 dot print details. Now if I run it, I receive my name is John and my name is John, my age is 30. So thank you guys, this was the simple example of inheritance. If you like the video, please share the video and also subscribe my channel. Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez and this is our 18th video in Python 3 programming language and our 4th video in Python object-oriented programming concepts. In the previous video we have learned about inheritance. So in this video we are going to talk about multiple inheritance. So what is multiple inheritance? If a class inherits more than one class, we can call it multiple inheritance. So what I mean, for example, in here I have two class, class A and class B. So these two class are base class, and after that I have another class that is called class C. Now this class C inherit from class A and B, and this is derived class. Now this class C can access to all attributes and behaviors of class A, and also class C can access to all attributes and behaviors of class B. So this is a simple explanation of multiple inheritance. Now I'm going to open my PyCharm IDE and I'm going to show you the practical example. So now let's open the PyCharm IDE. So guys, this is my PyCharm IDE, and this example is from the previous video. It was about inheritance, so you can watch the previous video if you want. Let me create a new Python file and I'm going to call it multiple inheritance. Okay, now I have a class A, and in the class A I'm going to just create a method of move like this, and I'm going to print moving like this. Let me create another class at the name of class B. Now this class also, let me create an eat method for this. So print, let me print eating. Okay, now we have two base class. After this, let me create another class, class C. Now this class C inherit from A and B. Okay, now I don't want to add functionality for this, but if you want you can add. Let me just give it pass. And now this class C can access to our eat method, and also this class C can access to our move method of our two base classes. Let me prove it. I'm going to create an object of C, and now I can see dot. You can see that now I can access to move and eat class of my two base class. c.move and c.eat. So now let me run it, and I'm going to run this. Okay, now you can see moving, eating. Even though we don't have this move and eat methods in our class C, but because it drives from it inherited from class B and C, we can access to these methods. Let me create a little complex example that you can know more about multiple inheritance. So first, let me create another Python file. Right click and let me create a multiple inheritance 2. Okay, now in this class, first I'm going to create a class person. So my first base class. In this class, let me write the constructor. Now in here, I'm going to print like please enter your details. Okay, now after this, let me create some attributes for this class. So I'm going to take from the user, so enter name, self.lname, input, enter last name, and also let me give self.phone, input, enter phone. Okay, like this. Also let me add a self.age, input, enter age. Okay, now this is our class person. Also I'm going to create a method for this. So def print details, and in here I'm going to print my let me give it \n. So I'm going to print first the name like this, and self.name. Also I'm going to print the last name, so last name, self.lname, print I have phone, so phone number, and self.phone, print, and the last one is age, self.age. Okay, now I have created my class person also with some attributes and methods. I'm going to create another class. This class is student marks. I'm going to call it student marks, and and here let me first create the initializer or constructor. So let me print please enter your marks. Now let me add self.mat and convert this to integer, prompt input, sorry, okay, mark. Now you can say mat mark, and self.history, convert this to int because these are integer numbers. So history mark, and let me create another one. So programming, for example, I'm going to write programming int, and you can give input and programming mark. Okay, after this let me create a method for my this class. So I want to give it a print details. Okay, now print details. And here I'm going to first I'm going to sum the total marks of the these three subjects. So total exam marks, and so self dot math plus self dot story plus self dot programming. Okay, after this I'm going to check, so if total max number is less than 80. If this is the case, I'm going to first print the total number. So total exam marks, like this, and let me convert this to string and write the total exam marks. And after this, that I'm going to print that you are failed. Okay. Else, in the else condition, I'm going to first print the total exam marks, and let me convert to str and total exam marks. At the end, I want to write that you are sexist. So like this. Okay. Now this is our another class. Now I'm going to create another class that inherit from these two classes. So this is class what was my okay, this is class student. So I'm going to create a class student, and it inherit from person. So from person and student marks. Let me make it right in here. So class student, and from person also student marks. Okay, now in here let me first create the initializer or constructor, and after this I'm going to call my two base class constructor. So person dot init and student marks dot init, and after this let me create a result method. So print result, and in here I'm going to call my base class method. So person dot print details, and another one is student marks dot print details. Okay, now we have created this class. After this let me create an object. Now my this class can access to my these attributes, to these class person and class student marks. So I'm going to create a student1 object. So student, and let me student1 dot print result. So print result. Okay, now let me run it. This is my complete code, and I'm going to okay let me make it in here, and I'm going to run my code. Okay, please enter name. So let me enter last name, so like this. Enter phone number, for example you can give a phone number. Enter age. Okay, now please enter your marks. Let me enter, for example this time I want to fail, so 20, 30, and also let me give it 20. Okay. Now you can see it printed name Parvez, last name Fro, phone number this, age 25, total exam mark 70 because it's less than 80 and it's saying me that you are failed. So let me run it again. Let me add, for example, this time and last name, and you can phone number, and you can give age, enter your marks, so 50, 50, 90, and now you can see name Parvez, and this is phone number, and total exam mark 190, and you are success. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos please subscribe to my channel. Hello friends, I'm Parvez, and this is our 19th video in Python 3 programming language and our 5th video in Python object-oriented programming language. In the previous video we have learned about multiple inheritance and we have created a practical example. So in this video we are going to talk about multi-level inheritance. So first of all, what is multi-level inheritance? In Python, when you inherit a derived class from another derived class, this is called multi-level inheritance. In Python programming language, multi-level inheritance can be done at any depth. So for example, we have a class A and this is our base class. We have another class, that class B. Now this class B inherit or derived from class A. We have another class that's called class C. Now this class C inherit from class B. So like this, you can use at any depth multi-level inheritance. Now I'm going to open my PyCharm ID and I'm going to show you a practical example of multi-level inheritance. So guys, this is my PyCharm ID and this example is from the previous example that we have created in multiple inheritance. So I'm going to create a simple example of multi-level inheritance. So I want to create a new Python file. I call it multi-level inheritance, and okay, now let me first create a class. So I'm going to create a class A. Now this class have just a method of move like this. I'm going to print moving. Now I have another class, so at name of class B. Now this class inherit from class A, our base class. So in here I'm going to just write eat and print eating. So we have another class, so this is class C, and now this class C inherit from class B. Now in here I'm going to just write walk and print walking. Okay, now this class B can access to this move method of class A, and this class C can access to the eat and move methods of our these two class, because now this can be as a parent for this class. So if I let me first create the object of, for example, I want to create first the object of B class, so B, and right now if you see in B we have just eat, but now if you can see now we have eat and move for this, so you can choose move and you can choose eat. Now if I run this, I have moving and eating. So let me create the object of my C. So for the C I should have three methods. Walk, this is related to the C class. Eat and move, so C, and C dot, you can see we have move, and C dot we have eat, and C we have walk. So now if I run this, you can see moving, eating, walking. So let me create another class. So class D. Now this class inherit from class C. Now in here I'm going to just write jumping, and we can print jumping. Okay, now if I create an object of my D class, so now you can see we have eat, move, jump, all of them in our D class. So d.eat, d.move, and d.jump, this is related to D class, and d.walk. Okay, now if I run it, you can see eating, moving, jumping, walking. So thank you guys. This was a simple example on multi-level inheritance. If you have any questions, please let me know, and for the further videos, please subscribe to my channel. Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez, and this is our 20th video in Python 3 programming language, and our 6th video in Python object-oriented programming. So in the previous video we have learned about multi-level inheritance, and in this video I'm going to talk about super function in Python inheritance. So in Python inheritance, super function is used to call a method from the parent class. So what I mean, I'm going to open my PyCharm IDE, and I want to show you a practical example that what is the use of super function. So guys, I have opened my PyCharm IDE, and this is from the previous example that was multi-level inheritance. So let me create a new Python file, and I call it super function. Okay. Now I'm going to create a class, so I call it class vehicle. Now in here I have a method of def start, and in here I'm going to print started, and I have another method of def stop, and I'm going to just print stopped. Okay. After this I have another class, that is class car. It inherits from vehicle, and in here I'm going to write a def result, for example a method. Now using super you can call these two methods in your from parent class to your derived class. So you can simply write super dot, you can see we have start, and super dot stop. Okay, now I'm going to create a car class object, so car, and I can just simply call my result, so c dot result, and if I run this you can see I will receive these two methods. Now you can see started, stopped. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos please subscribe to my channel. Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez, and this is our 21st video in Python 3 programming language, and our 7th video in Python object-oriented programming concepts. In the previous video we have learned about super function in Python object-oriented programming language. In this video we are going to talk about hierarchical inheritance. So in the previous videos we have learned about inheritance, multiple inheritance, and multi-level inheritance. So in this video we are going to talk and also create an example of hierarchical inheritance. So in Python object-oriented programming, when a base class derived from more than one class, then that is called hierarchical inheritance. So for example, in here we have a class A. Now also we have three more classes. We have class B, class C, class D. Now class B inherit from class A, class C also inherit from class A, and class D also inherit from class A. So now this kind of inheritance is called hierarchical inheritance. And between these derived classes, class B, class C, class D, there is no relationship. But there is relationship between class A and class B, class A and class C, class A and class D. Now I'm going to open my PyCharm IDE and I want to show you a practical example. So now I have opened my PyCharm IDE, and this is from the previous video that we have talked about superfunctions. And now I'm going to create a new Python file, and I'm going to call it let me call it hierarchical inheritance. Okay. Now for inheritance, we have told, for example, we have a class A. Now let me first show you like this. After that I'm going to create an example. So this is my class A, and I'm going to leave it blank. After this I have another class, for example class B. Now this class inherit from class A. Also I have another class, class C. Now this class also inherit from class A. I have another class, class D. Now this class also inherit from class A. Now for this kind of inheritance we can call hierarchical inheritance. Between these derived classes there is no relationship, but there is a relationship between A and B, A and C, and also A and D. So now I'm going to remove this. For example, I have a class animal. Now in this class animal, okay, now in this class animal I have a run method, and let me give a argument and self.name name. Okay, also I'm going to print self dot name is running. Okay, now after this I have another class. Class dog. Now this class inherit from our animal class. Right now I don't write anything in here, but you can write if you want. So I have another class that is class cat, and it also inherit from animal class. Okay, now if I create the object of dog, so d dog, and if I d dot, now you can see we have access to the name and to the run method of our base class, that is animal. So let me just and in here write dog. Okay, now if I run this, now you can see dog is running. And if I create the object of cat, so cat and let me write it cat and cat dot run, you can see now it also access to the method and the attribute of our base class. So let me write cat, and if I run this, you will see that I receive cat is running. Now I have said that there is no relationship between these two classes. Let me show you prove this. For example, in here I have a def walk. In here I have, let me print dog is walking. Okay, now for dog, if I write d dot, you can see in here I have ran and also I have walk. Now if I run this, you can see that dog is walking. But in my cat, if I say cat dot, you can see I have just run and name. There is no walk. By this reason, we can tell that there is no relationship between the derived classes of hierarchical inheritance. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos, subscribe to my channel and also like the videos. Hello friends, I'm Parvez and this is our 22nd video in Python programming language and our 8th video in Python object-oriented concepts. So in the previous video we have learned about hierarchical inheritance in Python programming language, and we have created a practical example of that inheritance. In this video we are going to talk about another concept in object-oriented programming that's called polymorphism. So first of all, what is polymorphism? Now we're going to start with a real world example. For example, as you know, we use milk for drinking, but also milk can also be used to make curd, butter, and etc. So the term polymorphism means to use something in different forms. In software development, to maintain the code and to maintain the simplicity of the code, we will use the concept of polymorphism. So there are two popular examples of polymorphism. So for example, we have method overloading and we have method overriding. So now method overloading is used in a single class where you have the same function name but different set of arguments for each function. And as method overriding is a concept one comes across while making subclasses. For example, we know that a child class can inherit all the methods and attributes from the base class. However, in some situations, the inherited method from the base class does not fit into the child class. On that situation, we need to change that method and re-implement that method in the child class. Now in this scenario we can call it method overriding. Now I'm going to open my PyCharm IDE and I want to show you the practical example of method overriding in polymorphism. Okay, now this is my PyCharm IDE and this example is from the previous video, the hierarchical inheritance. Now I have created a new Python file. Let me create a class, so class A, and let me write the initializer for constructor. Def init, and in here I have for example name and also last name. And self dot name to the name and self dot last name to the last name. Okay, after this let me create a new method of def print details, and in here let me just print my name is plus self dot name, and my last name is last name. Let me bring it in here. Okay, and my last name is plus self dot last name. Okay, now this is my base class. After this let me create another class, and so class B. Now this class inherit from class A. And right now let me just pause this class. Okay, now you know from the inheritance definition that now this B class can access to all attributes and behaviors of my base class. So if I create, for example, first let me create the A class object, so AA, and let me give John, and let me give, for example, John Doe. And now I can call my method, so print details. And if I run this, so you can see that I have my name is John and my last name is Doe. And if I create the object of my B, so B, and if I call b.print details, now if I run this, now you can see that my name is Parviz and my last name is Farooq. So now we can access to this. But I have said that in the definition of method overriding, that in some scenario you need to change the functionality of this print details, because this print details. So you don't want this. For example, you also want to print in your this class B, you want to print name, last name, and also the email address. So for this, now this is called method overriding. For this, let me create in here in my this class, let me bring some change. So definite, and now in here I'm going to give the name, email, and also name, last name, and also I want the email. Okay, and now self dot name to the name, self dot last name to the last name, and self dot email to email. Okay, now I can create my this print details in here. So let me just copy this and paste it in here. My name is this, and also you need to add plus email, self dot email. Okay, now I need to give also another parameter of email. If you see here, we need to parameter email is unfilled. Now I can give, for example, so now if I run this, you will see that I have changed the functionality of this method. Okay, now you can see for the first print details we have my name is John and my last name is Doe. But for the second, I have, because I have changed, my name is this and my last name is this, and this is the email address. Like this you can do method overriding. Also instead of using these all, you can use super function in here. So now super function in here is used for invoking the initializer of the parent class into the child class. Now let me show you. For this, let me just remove these two. Now I want to invoke the super in here, dot init, and in here I want to write the name and also last name. Now if I run this, the result is the same and there is no problem. So let me just run it. Okay, now you can see that the result is the same. So thank you guys. This was polymorphism topic and method overriding. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos, please subscribe to my channel. Hello friends, I'm Parviz and this is our 23rd video in Python programming language and our 9th video in Python object-oriented programming concepts. So in the previous video we have talked about polymorphism and method overriding in Python. So in this video we are going to talk about encapsulation. So first of all, what is encapsulation? Now in Python programming language we can restrict the access to methods and variables of a class. So this preventing data from direct modification is called encapsulation. So if you're familiar with another programming language like C++ or Java, we can restrict the access to the methods and variables by using public, private, and protected. Now in Python we denote the private attributes by using single or double lines. Now one thing that you need to remember, Python programming language does not enforce you for the encapsulation. Now let me show you a practical example of encapsulation. I'm going to open my PyCharm IDE. Okay, now this is my PyCharm IDE. As you know, if we create a class, for example class animal, and in here let me just give initializer and name. So self.name name, and let me create another class. So for example class cat. Now it inherits from class animal. Let me create a details method in here. You can print self.name. So now this is the simple inheritance that now my cat can access to the this name variable, and also the now in some cases if you want to so let me run it. Now you can see we have my cat, but when you want to for example you want to restrict the access modifier of a variable or a method. Now let me show you. Let me just remove this, and I'm going to create another example. So for example I have a class vehicle, and there's nothing in class vehicle. Just I'm going to pause this, and I have two methods. So first one is driving, and let me print driving the car. So driving the car, and I have so this is a public method, but let me create a private method also. So you can give __. So let me print details. Now this is print details. So if I create now the object of vehicle outside, so vehicle, now v dot, you can see that I have just access to driving because it's public, but I can't access to this print details. Let me just run this for driving. Now for driving I can, you can see driving driving the cat, not car, sorry. Okay, driving the car. Now you can see, but if I want to access to this, I cannot to this method because this is a private method in Python programming language. So now if you remove these, for example if I remove this, now it become public. Now if I v dot, now you can see I have print details. Like this you can access, you can restrict the access modifier to a method. Also you can do this for a variable. For example we have a variable and you want to restrict that. Let me just remove this and let me create another class. So class car, let me write the initializer, and now in here I want to create a private variable, so price 3000, and let me create a method of def print details. And so first let me just create the object of my car. So let me create c car, and now if c dot, you can see that I cannot access to the price because this is a private variable. Now if I remove this, make it public, if I see dot, now you can see I have the price. Now let me just create a method in here. So def print details. You can print the details, or print self dot underscore price. Now if I print this, so c dot, now I can print details, and if I run this, you can see now this is the price. Also you can modify this if you want. Now so for example, def set price, and let me give new price, and I want that self dot underscore price to the new price. Now in here I can create c dot set price, and I want the new price, so 5,000, and I can c dot print details, so c dot print details. Now if I run this, you can see now the prices change. So thank you guys, this was encapsulation. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos please subscribe to my channel and also like the videos.